Hey A&Pers, this is Dr. RJ Jones checking in. This is A&P 1, Lab 1, Video 1. And we are covering the levels of organization to start. So if you have your lab booklet, should look like this. We're using the Wood Lab Manual. This one is for 6th edition. This may be an older version. If you have the newer version, go with the terms in that. So the levels of organization. The first level of organization is the chemical or molecular level. So that chemical or molecule is called DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. But if the question on the test says name the level of organization and you put DNA, that will be the wrong answer because that's not the level of organization. The level of organization is chemical or molecular. The chemicals or molecules get together to make the second level of organization, and this is the cellular level. And we will learn all of the parts of the cells. The cells get together to make the next level of organization, and this is the tissue level. This tissue happens to be cardiac muscle tissue, but the cells work together in tissues. The tissues work together to make the next level of organization, and those are the organs. This organ is a kidney. So if the question is name this level of organization, you write organ. And if it says what organ is it, then you write kidney. The organs work together to make the next level of organization, which is the organ system. This organ system is the urinary system. So again, name the level of organization. That's right, organ system. Name the organ system. Urinary. Okay. The organ systems all work together to make the next level of organization, which is the organism. So because this is human anatomy and physiology, we're going to be talking about humans as the organism, but what other organisms are there? Yeah, cats and dogs. Anybody got one that's not a mammal? Right? Lizards, snakes? What about trees, plants, bacteria? Viruses are not organisms because they don't meet the criteria for life, because they need a host cell to replicate. They can't replicate on their own. So viruses are not, to my knowledge, currently considered alive, although these things do change. Okay, next we need to talk about the anatomical positions. So we're going to use our little person here. Anatomical position is when you are standing, feet together, palms facing forward, hands at your side. Feet together, hands at your side, palms facing forward. That is anatomical position. So the next word on our list is supine. If you are supine, then you are laying down in anatomical position on your back. So face up. So if you're laying down on your back, face up, then you can, in your hand, hold a bowl of soup. Supine. It's spelled different. Spell it right on the lab test. And prone is when you're laying down in anatomical position, but face down or tummy down. You cannot hold a bowl of soup if you are laying prone. That would be very messy. So let's talk about the directional terminologies. And we'll get closer to our little organism here. So the first directional terminology is superior. Superior is towards the top. Inferior is towards the feet. Anterior is towards the front. So anterior on a biped, bi means two, ped means feet, so biped, like humans, walk on 2 feet. So on a biped, ventral, which means towards the tummy, is the same as anterior. But on a cat, ventral would be inferior. Now towards the back is posterior, which is also on a biped dorsal. Now on a quadruped, dorsal towards the back will be superior, not posterior. Medial is towards the midline. Here's the midline down the middle of the person. So medial is towards the midline. Lateral is away from midline. And then let's talk about superficial and deep. Here is a handily placed model of the skin for us. So this is the surface of the skin. Here are the hairs that stick out of the skin. We will learn the layers of the skin and many of these structures. But this surface of the skin is superficial. So towards the surface of the skin is superficial. Away from the surface of the skin is deep. So let's look briefly, torso person. Let's look at the arm. So superficial on the arm, we would have skin. Deep to the skin is muscle. We'll learn all these muscles. Okay, most of these muscles. And then in the center, the deepest portion of the arm is the bone. What's the name of that bone? The humerus. Remember, no O. If it had an O, it'd be funny. Yeah, that's right. I went there. Get used to it. So, compared to the humerus, these muscles, here's your biceps brachii. These biceps brachii, compared to the humerus, is towards the surface of the skin, so it's superficial. Compared to the skin, the biceps brachii is deep. It's away from the surface of the skin. So this, sorry about the finger, biceps brachii is both superficial and deep at the same time, because all of these directional terminologies depend on what you're comparing them to. Moving back over here. So your elbow compared to your wrist, oh, we haven't done proximal and distal yet. Okay, so proximal is closer to the attachment of the limb, and distal is further away from the attachment of the limb, or towards the fingers or toes, which can all be called digits. So distal is towards the digits. Proximal is closer to the attachment of the limb. On the lower limb is the same thing. Proximal is closer to the attachment of the limb. Distal is towards the digits. So the elbow. What is the elbow compared to the wrist? And how we tend to write these down on the lab test questions. Sorry, switching hands so I can write awkward, I apologize. So we will put A is blank to B. And then we'll have an A sticker here at the elbow and a B sticker here. So A is blank compared to B. A is blank to B. Here's your A. So the elbow is what when you compare it to the wrist? Well, it's closer to the attachment of the limb, so it's proximal, because proximal means closer to the attachment of the limb. Now you have to be careful here, because we're not drawing a map from A to B. If we were drawing a map, we would say from A to B, we go distal. But that's not what the question is asking. The question is asking for a comparison. So we want to compare. A is what? But we have to compare it to something. What are we comparing it to? B. So the elbow is proximal compared to the wrist. What about the elbow compared to C, the shoulder? So here, the elbow is closer to the digits, so the elbow is distal. So all of these terms are relative depending on what you compare them to. Let's see, let's do some more. So A is what to B. and the surface of the skin is superficial. So what is B compared to A? This is deep because this is further from the skin. The nose is what compared to the ears? Well, it's medial because it's towards the midline. The ears are what compared to the nose? Lateral, because they're further from midline. Okay, so that's right at 10 minutes, and that was the first page of our note set. So thank you, as always, for tuning in. The education must go on. Dr. J out.